One topic often raised in email to SpanishGenealogy.com by potential new clients is DNA testing and its use to find Spanish ancestry. In this video, we'll take a closer look at how DNA results will and won't help with your Spanish ancestry search. There is a Spanish proverb that we think accurately sums up the way some people approach the use of DNA for their Spanish family trees. Before we get to that, though, please take a moment to subscribe to this channel so you never miss an update when we post new Spanish genealogy videos. Now here's that Spanish proverb. When building a house, don't start with the roof. Think about it. Unfortunately, a lot of DNA-based inquiries seem to expect exactly that. Most of the inquiries we receive from new contacts mentioning DNA come from people with only a very vague knowledge of their Spanish ancestry. In fact, that DNA test may even be the first they've heard about having Spanish heritage. Some typical ones are like these. I have no information about my birth father other than nationality, Spanish. I'm Irish, but the funny part of my ancestry is that I am mostly Spanish. My maternal ancestry is 19% Iberian Peninsula. My father was born in Peru in 1957, but I have 20% Spanish or Portuguese blood that I'd love to trace further. I was wondering if you have come across any Gonzalez with the haplogroup RP312? I took a DNA test. Family story is that we had an ancestor who was a Spanish soldier in Cuba in 1877. What more can we find out about him? Now, here's the thing. DNA testing is great for broad, sweeping analysis of population movements that happened thousands of years ago. For example, it was used to link the mysterious origins of the Basque people to a group of skeletons that belonged to people who lived between 3,000 and 5,000 years ago. It has also been used to trace the movement of surviving migrants into Europe from vanished civilizations like that of Carthage. Most people, however, when taking an interest in their Spanish ancestry, are seeking a more recent connection, a link to their heritage in a specific town or at least province in Spain. There are three problems with relying on DNA for this. Firstly, there was a great deal of population movement inside Spain over the last 1,000 years. All of the various military campaigns directed by Spanish monarchs to recapture land and expel the peninsula's Islamic rulers and, eventually, the populations of their kingdoms resulted in their lands being resettled by soldiers from the victorious armies. Your supposedly Basque ancestor may have come to Seville with the army of Saint Ferdinand in 1248. Suppose your ancestors, just in that line, then lived in Andalusia for a further 500 years before one emigrated to, say, Cuba. If you react to your DNA results by immediately going in search of your Basque ancestry, you'll be skipping the 500 years your family spent in Andalusia. You will miss out on all those potentially interesting stories, and besides, if you take that DNA test, look at the results and say, oh look, I'm Basque. But the 5 centuries somewhere else in Spain are the more recent ones. How accurate is it to define yourself through the more remote location? DNA without genealogy records misses out on the story of Spain. Secondly, it's important to remember that there was no requirement to record baptisms, marriages and deaths in Spain before the Council of Trent was held by the Catholic Church in the mid-1500s, so a DNA link to an ancestor who lived before that does not mean we can just dive straight into the records and find your family in Spain. Despite destruction of records in many parts of Spain through a variety of causes, which we discuss in other videos on this channel, if you start by tracing your most recent Spanish ancestor and carefully work your way back through the documents, it really is possible to genuinely prove your link to someone in those earliest records for a specific town. Someone who lived around 1550 or 1560. But if you try to leapfrog the records and pinpoint a specific place of origin in Spain without doing the research, it's kind of like solving a math problem without showing your work. You miss out on important details, and the solution, though it looks okay on paper, may be oversimplified and may not be accurate at all. Thirdly, and this is the biggest reason why DNA alone will not reveal your Spanish ancestry, no matter what your test says, there probably is nothing we can compare it to in Spain that will bring you any closer to the place in Spain your most recent Spanish ancestors came from. A lot of the time, people's expectations from DNA results are influenced by what they have seen succeed with people of British descent in America, and those people's ancestral origin in England. For over a century, Americans, especially in the northeastern United States, have been interested in tracing their roots in England, and as soon as DNA testing became widely available, groups began organizing that succeeded in bringing together people who share a distinctive surname, or who share family legend of descent from one single immigrant, to verify those links and also seek DNA samples from people bearing those names in Britain today. This last point is key to the limitations on the usefulness of DNA to Spanish genealogy. Unlike, say, America, where there is a vast amount of DNA information already in online databases against which you can compare your own newly acquired test results, the immense majority of Spaniards have no need for, or interest in, tracing somewhere else their ancestors may have come from, and are generally distrustful of DNA pooling anyway. Attitudes vary from place to place. Some societies are more open than others, and while many people in the Americas are comfortable with sharing their full DNA results on the internet for complete strangers to see, most Spanish people are not. In our experience, many would view a request for a DNA result as a weird invasion of their privacy, something with overtones of Big Brother, or maybe a police procedural. Will this ever change? Maybe it's just an issue of not enough money having been thrown at this field yet. Many research projects in 19th and 20th century England benefited from the interest of extremely wealthy Americans, who were willing to sink money into tracing their ancestral roots in England and, later, convincing possible distant relations to provide DNA samples to prove or disprove connections. That has helped with everything from the ancestry of passengers on the Mayflower, to isolating potential families of origin in England for specific Massachusetts settlers. But as yet there has been no strongly bankrolled effort by Americans of Hispanic descent to convince present-day Spaniards to participate in similar projects. For now, and if only DNA is being used, it remains easier to determine the origin of your Smith or Jones amid a broad group of candidates in, say, 17th century England than it is to find the origin of your Gonzalez or Jimenez in 17th century Spain. We have one final thought we think will help put all this in perspective. First though, if this video was useful to you, please share it with others who may be interested, and remember to like this video and subscribe to this channel. Now, that last thought. In summary, think of DNA results like pairs of glasses. DNA results will help you see far into the distance. But if you're looking for something a little closer, if you want to have real knowledge of a definite link to a specific town or province in Spain, and enjoy what that knowledge of your heritage brings you, you need records-based genealogy, established through research in archives, in documents of the past 5 or 6 centuries. Thanks for watching.